can we talk a minute about
Sure.
about this animal thing?
Yeah.
All right. So and the relationship people have with animals.
Yeah.
All right. So you know what I do for a living. I produce animals and I slaughter them and I sell the meat. And despite that, when somebody tells me that they are vegetarian or vegan, I have full respect for that. I mean, that is a lifestyle choice that everybody gets to make. You can choose your sexual whatever you like. You can choose your religion. You can choose what you want to eat. That's the individuals to choose. And I would go to war to defend a person who said that they're vegetarian or vegan because they couldn't bear the idea of eating a live animal. That I get it. That's fine.
Right.
If you tell me it's because it's yucky, the mouthfeel, I respect it. That's fine. But I'm not going to let you tell me that you won't eat animals because they're destroying the earth when they're raised like I'm raising them.
Right.
I will not let you bring that junk science on me.
And that is junk science.
It's fucking junk science. Let me give it back to you. So I just told you that my farm, and showed you that my farm has 5% organic matter. You could see you couldn't see the 5%, but you could see what.
See the difference in the water for sure.
You know where all that, and an acre slice of soil weighs about 2 million pounds. You can Google it. If I went from 0.5% to over 5%, that's 5% of 2 million pounds. I think it's 100,000 pounds of carbon. You get it?
Yeah.
Per acre. I didn't put any carbon out there. Every bit of that carbon, that 100,000 pounds per acre on 3,200 acres, used to be greenhouse gas. That plant, through the magic of photosynthesis, breathed in that carbon and other gases, the carbon dioxide and other gases, and turned it into fat and protein and carbohydrate. That is the plant. Some of it above the ground, some of it below the ground in roots. My cows or sheep or goats ate that plant, and some of that carbon went to make beef or pork or beef or lamb or goat. Some of it went out as manure. Some of it was put up as flatulence or burping or whatever. And a lot of it went into the root in the ground and was sequestered there for a time. When that plant grows, a growing plant is like a pump. It's pulling carbon from the air, putting some of it under the ground. The animal bites it off. Those roots start to slough off till it regrows. So it's literally just like a pump, pumping carbon in the ground. So not only is ruminant livestock not destroying the earth, it is a serious mitigator of climate change.
As long as it's done your way.
Bingo. Not animals being hauled corn in a feedlot. No, I'm not feeling that.
So
now,
they do have an argument for that then.
I agree with them.
Yeah.
We're on the same side there.
So it's not just raising animals, it's raising animals against the cycle of nature.
Exactly.
And that's what we're dealing with. And that's what's you see polluting that river. It's going out into the Gulf of Mexico, which is horrific. Just looking at that seems like a natural disaster that someone should regulate. Like that shouldn't be okay, and it shouldn't be standard. You're looking at what that's doing to that water. That's horrible. That should not be normal and just accepted.
If it was a construction site, you wouldn't be able to do it.
Exactly. That's a perfect way to put it. If that was gypsum board, if you were breaking up wallboard and you had all that stuff going down into the river, they would cite you for poisoning.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing? You're polluting the river.
All right, so let's go back to, I'm also telling you that as a practitioner of regenerative agriculture, a guy who's regenerated thousands of acres of land, you cannot cost effectively do it without ruminant ruminant impact. You know, to say I'm going to take this degraded land and put it back pristine the way it was before Europeans got here, but I'm not going to put the animal impact in it. That's like you saying, I'm gonna use my mama's recipe to cook brownies, but I'm not going to put the sugar in there. It's not the same brownie.
Right.
And that evolution of that land without animal impact is not the same.
And you need the animals to make the manure, to make the cycle, to have it all work the way it normally, naturally would.
Absolutely.
And that's zero carbon imprint. Right, that's the idea,
or negative.
Or negative.
Negative in our case.
In your case, so your case, you're actually extracting carbon.
Correct. So that LCA I mentioned to you showed that we are sequestering 3.5 pounds of carbon dioxide equivalent, whatever that is, for every pound of grass-fed beef we sell. Ironically, the same environmental engineers, Qantas, did an LCA on, I think it was Impossible Meats, and they're sequestering 3.5, they're emitting 3.5 pounds for every pound of Impossible Burger. So if you want to have a zero footprint, for every pound of Impossible Burger you eat, you got to eat a pound of mine.
Isn't that crazy? Because if you ask the average person, they think that stuff's good for you and that's good for the environment, and that if we don't get away from beef, it's just like people have these narrow perspectives, these narratives that get fed to them, and so they just repeat it over and over again. But obviously, when talking to someone like you, who's an actual farmer, you realize how complex the organization is and how much time is involved and how much effort's involved. Very few people have put a lot of thought into like what it takes to be a farmer. And what you were talking about, how it's high investment, low yield, and a lot of work. And most people, I don't think, are aware of it. They just want to get a cheeseburger. They just want to be able to pull into, In-N-Out, get yourself a cheeseburger and don't think at all about where that cow came from and how much work is involved in bringing that cow to you and how fragile that whole system is.
Well, I'm not glorifying what I do for a living. It doesn't need to be glorified. It's just what I do for a living. I am trying to show you where we went so badly wrong.
Yeah.
The application of that siloed, myopic, reductionist science to this complex, cyclical system